Welcome back everybody to this final part of the dining room renovation, part 4, where I'm taking our old dining room and turning it into a more useful space for us, an office for myself and a place to hold all of our new board games we have collected. At the top here, I want to talk about the paint that we used. This is from Benjamin Moore. It's part of their advanced line. The color we got was called Gentleman's Gray. I have not used this type of paint before, this particular product from Benjamin Moore. It's a wonderful paint. It goes on very well. It dries very well. It's a more expensive paint, but you get what you pay for. So I definitely recommend this brand, this product line within Benjamin Moore. Now I will say this, I did spray the cabinets and the doors with this paint, and later on in the video you'll see me using a roller with a couple different roller applicators for the bench top and the front of the bench later on. The application I got with the roller was much better than the sprayer. I don't fault the paint, I fault my settings on the sprayer. I probably didn't have it set the correct way for this particular paint. You can see throughout the video that the cabinet doors and cabinets kind of have a mottled look to it. It's not my favorite, but again, I think it's my own fault with the spray settings I had versus the paint itself. For the doors, I'm going to use my Craig jig for European recessed hinges. This has worked great. I've had it for a number of years. No problems with it. The hinges I think I got through Rockler or through possibly Amazon. I don't remember exactly. But these are just the standard European hinges that have the soft close on them. They're available at many outlets. I did hire a couple of trades to come in and work on the room. The first trade being replacing the window, which was very desperately needed. And I love this new crank out style window. It's in a black finish on the inside. So it kind of blends in with the wall a little bit in terms of color. Works great, love it. And the second trade we had come in was getting countertops and backsplashes made for the lower cabinets. We want to use these countertops not so much like a kitchen in terms of utility, but just a place to put some decorative things or maybe a bottle of wine, glass of wine, if you were sitting in here lounging. We installed a new switch and some under cabinet lighting, some LED strips to light up this countertop and backsplash, and they do a great job illuminating this part of the room. And the last trade we brought in was someone to make us a table. Yes, we ordered a table, and it is a solid maple top with a steel base, and we absolutely love it. It is solid, and it is heavy, and it's going to stand up to years of abuse. And I know what you're going to say or going to ask, and yes, I probably could have made this table, but no, I just did not have the time, so it was more practical for us to get it ordered. We love it. It's fantastic. So let's move on to other parts of the room. This part right here, I'm gonna start working on making the bench. This is the part that joins the two lower cabinets together underneath the window. Now, what I realized is when making the cabinets, I thought to myself that it would be easy just to join the two lower cabinets together with some extra lumber material, plywood to make a bench out of. I really should have made the bench just like the lower cabinets and made a box for it and done all that extra work up front, because I think it was more work to try and come back and piece this together in between those two existing already installed base cabinets. So if you're thinking about doing this, consider making yourself a bench box instead of doing it kind of piece by piece. What I have to do for this bench portion is direct the heating and air conditioning vent out into the room. So I'm going to make a box out of the same plywood and then line it with that thermopan, I think it's called, the fire resistant duct panning sheets, super lightweight, just to kick that air out into the room. And then I'll just cover it with a typical HVAC vent on the front of the bench. The inside of the bench, I was using scraps of poplar and plywood to finish it out. And again, I was measuring and cutting all these pieces individually, which took a lot of time. So I would, if I had the ability to go back, make this bench an entire box in of itself, just like lower cabinets, upper cabinets, follow that same procedure, and then build all of these other little parts and pieces within that box. I think it would just be easier.
I painted this black in hopes that it would kind of disappear into this. I didn't want to paint it blue. Thought this would look better.
One mistake I made on this bench front is I didn't want to leave the front of it plain. It was way too plain, way too smooth compared to the doors on either side of the lower cabinets. So I wanted to replicate the look of the frame on the front of the bench front to make it reminiscent of the door style of the lower cabinets. And so I took the same stock and I cut it and I did all the work to put the frames together, and I put the frames on the bench front. And I really didn't think about what I was doing, because on the doors, the panel itself sits halfway within the frame. So you're not getting the full depth of the frame on the door. It's about half of the frame when you look at the door on the front and the back side. And putting up these panels on the front of the bench front, I made it full depth. I made it a full frame depth. So it did not look right. It looked funky. So what I decided to do was go back and cut out some 1/4-inch plywood pieces to go inside of these panels to make that frame depth less. So these are purely decorative, and now these panels look much closer to what the doors actually look like. It was an extra step, but again, it was a worthwhile step, and I'm glad I did it. Although I was frustrated, it was worth the effort. And here comes the bench top. I'm going to fasten that together with a brass hinge along the back. A way to ensure consistent spacing around an application like this is just to use some playing cards. And I think I counted 5 playing cards, and it seemed to work out just fine. And the moment of truth is taking the cards out and giving it an open. And it works great. Extra storage for us down below, and nice place to sit. Look out the window.
All right.
And to make this bench top a little safer, I did add some hinges on the inside to make it more of a soft close than having it slammed down. The next step in the project is to put trim around the window, and I'm using the same poplar as I have in the rest of the project, taking measurements, cutting out around the countertops, and installing in the same blue color as the rest of the wall, so it more or less disappears into the wall overall. I think my goal for this wall was to make it all feel like one built-in element, and with it being all the same color, even the window being black, it all reads very dark, and I think the consistency is much nicer than if the trim or crown molding were painted a different color than the rest of the woodwork. The next few shots are just the final trim pieces in this part of the room. The crown molding at the top, the shoe molding at the bottom, again painted in that same blue color. And now the fun part of bringing in all the elements. And here's a before. And here we are now. And I have to say that it has gotten so much more use as a game room, as a makeshift office for me, as a place to store games, as a place to sit and relax. This room has a lot more flexibility for us than it did before as a devoted dining room. The rug was very influential on the color choice in the room. You can see that the color of the rug really brings out the color in the cabinets. The table is a great addition along with these padded chairs, very comfortable. The light we found at West Elm and provides wonderful general lighting for the room, and the can lights were here before, so between those two we have a lot of light in this room, especially from the window. It's a much improved space in our home and we are absolutely thrilled with it. And one thing you're not seeing here is Charlie's cage, and unfortunately we lost Charlie at the end of last year, 2021. He was a wonderful dog and he just did not feel good one day, and so we had to say goodbye to him very quickly, and we are still very sad about that. Thanks for watching this series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Please like and comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me out and keeps me going. And I wish you the best in starting of 2022 and more projects to come. Take care.